Welcome to the Riskwiser Zone, the premier podcast for all things stocks and finance. I'm your host, Louis, and we're glad you're joining us today. As we dive into the world of high-stakes investing and global market trends, we'll be exploring the latest developments that are shaping the financial landscape. We begin with a significant gathering in Canada, where the Group of Seven Summit is underway. World leaders have converged to discuss pressing issues, including trade, security, and economic cooperation. Notably, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is set to meet with U.S. President Donald Trump on the sidelines of the summit. This meeting will mark the first face-to-face encounter between the two leaders, and they're expected to discuss the AUKUS Defense Pact and tariffs. In another development, South Korean President Lee Jae-myung has expressed openness to a trilateral meeting with Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba and President Trump. If it happens, this would be the first such meeting for all three leaders since taking office, symbolizing their commitment to strengthening security ties. These diplomatic engagements come at a time of heightened tensions in various parts of the world, including the ongoing conflict between Israel and Iran. As global events continue to unfold, investors are keeping a close eye on how these developments might impact markets and economies worldwide. We'll be monitoring these situations closely and providing you with in-depth analysis and insights to help you navigate the complex world of finance. Whether you're a seasoned investor or just starting to build your portfolio, we're here to provide you with the information you need to make informed decisions. We'll be right back with more from the world of stocks and finance on the Riskwiser Zone. Welcome back to the Riskwiser Zone. We're glad you're joining us again as we dive into the latest news and developments from around the world. In this segment, we're shifting gears to the world of sports, where a high-profile trade is making headlines in the NBA. You may have heard that Phoenix Suns superstar Kevin Durant is likely to be traded sooner rather than later, and several teams are vying for his attention. According to reports from ESPN's Shams Charania, Durant has narrowed down his preferred destinations to three teams: the Miami Heat, the San Antonio Spurs, and the Houston Rockets. Now, it's worth noting that these reports don't necessarily mean a deal is imminent or that these teams will ultimately land Durant. However, they do give us an insight into the player's mindset and which franchises he believes can help him achieve his goals on the court. The Miami Heat, in particular, seem to be gaining momentum in the trade talks, with some reports suggesting they're making inroads on a possible deal with the Suns. This could be an interesting development for the Eastern Conference, where the Heat are already a competitive team. On the other hand, San Antonio Spurs and Houston Rockets are also in the mix, although their chances of landing Durant appear to be decreasing. The Spurs have a promising young core, led by Victor Wembanyama, which might appeal to Durant's desire to mentor and lead a new generation of players. As for the Rockets, they've been rebuilding their roster and could potentially offer a strong supporting cast around Durant. It's also worth mentioning that other teams, like the New York Knicks and the Minnesota Timberwolves, have been mentioned in trade discussions, although they don't seem to be among Durant's top preferences at this point. As we watch this story unfold, it's essential to remember that NBA trades can be complex and unpredictable. We'll continue to monitor the situation and bring you updates as more information becomes available. In conclusion, the Kevin Durant saga is a reminder of the ever-changing landscape in professional sports, where player movement and team dynamics can shift quickly. As we wait to see what happens next, one thing is certain: this story will have significant implications for the NBA and its fans. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on the Riskwiser Zone. Welcome back to the Riskwiser Zone. As we close out today's show, I'd like to shift our focus from the world of sports to the realm of finance. We're going to dive into the fascinating story of Shopify, a company that has been making waves in the e-commerce landscape. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, Shopify? Isn't that just an online store platform? Well, yes and no. While it's true that Shopify provides a platform for businesses to create their own online stores, its reach and influence extend far beyond that. With its robust growth, dominant platform position, and potential to double shares by 2030, Shopify has become a darling of the investment community. But, as with any high-flying stock, there are risks involved. The current valuation is steep, with a price-to-forward earnings ratio of 75x, making near-term upside dependent on consistently exceeding high expectations. And let's not forget about the macro uncertainty that could trigger a valuation reset. So, what's an investor to do? Well, our friends at Seeking Alpha have weighed in with some insightful analysis. Your research recommends a cautious buy, suggesting that investors accumulate slowly on dips, with Q2 earnings as a potential entry catalyst for long-term investors. Julian Lin, on the other hand, has shared his thoughts on what price he'd be willing to buy Shopify, highlighting the company's strong execution, expanding profitability, and solid net cash position. Now, I'm not here to give you investment advice or tell you what to do with your hard-earned money. But I will say this. When it comes to Shopify, it's essential to approach with a critical eye, considering both the potential upside and the risks involved. As we wrap up today's show, I want to leave you with a thought-provoking question. Are you willing to pay a premium for growth, or do you prefer to wait for a more attractive entry point? The answer, of course, depends on your individual investment goals and risk tolerance. That's all for today's Riskwiser Zone. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, invest with caution. That's all for today's Riskwiser Zone. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, keep your finances in check.